Hello, today is Tuesday, August 18th, 2026. Here is your daily signal. According to Bloomberg, India has told its domestic refiners to boost LPG output as uncertainty around the Strait of Hormuz persists, aiming to safeguard supplies for the upcoming festival season. The Strait of Hormuz is a critical choke point for global energy, with about 20% of the world's petroleum passing through annually. Recent attacks on shipping there have heightened concerns about supply disruptions, prompting nations dependent on Gulf oil to take emergency measures. On August 17, India directed refiners to ramp up LPG production, while covert oil transfers by shuttle tankers off the Gulf of Oman are helping keep global crude prices stable despite risks in the strait, and Iran and Oman are moving closer to finalizing a shipping map deal to govern vessel traffic amid mounting ship attacks. Global crude and LPG prices may remain volatile, impacting importing economies in the near term, and while India's increased LPG production could buffer domestic consumers, it may pressure refinery margins. Longer-term instability could disrupt energy markets worldwide and prompt broader international intervention, though new regional agreements might mitigate some risks if robust enforcement stabilizes flows. Next, onto U.S. military strategy. As reported by the Associated Press, the USS George Washington is leaving the Pacific and heading toward the Middle East, marking the first time in years that the Western Pacific will be without a U.S. carrier amid rising Chinese assertiveness. The U.S. Navy regularly deploys carriers in both the Pacific and the Middle East to project power and support allies, but recent escalations have stretched naval assets and forced redeployment between strategic regions, mirroring President Donald Trump's shifting priorities as tensions with both Iran and China grow. On August 16, the USS George Washington began its redeployment, and Chinese officials have expressed satisfaction with U.S. distraction in the Middle East. Trump also announced reductions in military exercises with South Korea, citing Seoul's lack of support on Iran and improved ties with North Korea. Short term, the absence of a U.S. carrier in the Pacific could create a strategic vacuum favorable for expanded Chinese naval operations, while the concentration of naval assets in the Middle East elevates tensions with Iran. The weakening of U.S. relationships with Pacific allies like South Korea may introduce broader security risks as adversarial powers watch for patterns to exploit. And finally, in tech and finance, TechCrunch reports that Stripe is set to acquire AI gateway startup OpenRouter for over $7 billion, marking one of Stripe's largest deals to date. Stripe, founded in 2010 by Patrick and John Collison, is a leading payments platform, while OpenRouter specializes in unified access to multiple large language models, a strategic area as demand for AI infrastructure grows and companies seek to integrate payments with cloud and AI services. On August 16, Stripe's deal to acquire OpenRouter is expected to streamline LLM deployments into Stripe's developer and enterprise platforms, accelerate its entry into Gen AI APIs, and intensify competition with infrastructure giants like AWS and Google Cloud in the enterprise AI market. Customers could see benefits such as unified billing, greater flexibility across models, and new developer tool synergies as a result of the acquisition, potentially cementing Stripe's reputation as a leading infrastructure provider beyond its core payments business. Now, onto the markets. International equities were mixed today, with Germany's EWG down slightly to 43.96 and France's EWQ also softening, while Netherlands' EWN climbed to 71.5. Notably, Africa's AFK rose over 11% month-on-month, and Spain's EWP lost ground, with Belgium's EWK as the strongest gainer in the group. Commodities advanced, led by U.S. oil USO up nearly 3% day-over-day and silver SLV surging over 16% month-on-month, while gas UNG declined and uranium URA continued its strong rally. Favorites saw mostly declines, with Adobe a bet off by 3.8% and Microsoft MSFT down 3%, but Marvell MRVL was a standout, gaining 5.5% today. Nvidia NVDA was little changed and Apple slipped slightly, while Intel Inc. moved higher. Gainers included Weta Robotics Wedo up over 324%, and IP Strategy Holdings IPST more than tripled, with ZOS XOS up 86%. The largest loser was Zenta Group ZTG, down nearly 70%, iPoint IPT dropped 67%, while AFU was off more than 52% and Bally's Corporation Bally fell over 26%. That's it for today. You can find more news and details on our website. Goodbye.